Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Let me see who was here first. Adrian Burrow, thank you so much for being here first. And thank you for being a moderator. And, oh, yeah, and having a membership. Okay, let me grab my slides. Okay, there we go. Take that away. Okay, hope that works out. Hello, Joya Moore, Nzalando Niandini, Rodney Jackson, Yalibi, Antoinette Kennedy. Ha, there we go. Wunderbar. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I love that. I'm speaking. You got to let them know. You got to let them know. If you're speaking, you're speaking. And if you tell them, you've spoken. So I'm speaking. Uh-oh. Okay. Hi, Mary H. Mm-mm. Uh-oh. Okay, I done messed up. Okay, anyway, here goes. There we go. So, Meghan Markle is about to be everywhere. Details on her new Netflix show and upcoming product line. Are you all ready for that? Are you all ready for Meghan to be everywhere? That's what they say. Let me see here. It says Meghan Markle. Oh, there we go. Not just the people's princess, she's also an actress, businesswoman, and lifestyle connoisseur. Following her Netflix series, Harry and Meghan, which documents the highs and lows of Meghan and Harry's love story and their decision to leave the royal life behind, Markle is stepping back into the limelight and to co-produce two Netflix series. Moreover, she's tripling her efforts with the launch of her new lifestyle product collection, American Riviera Orchard. Read more, it says, series product collection. Anyway, what do we know about Meghan Markle's new Netflix show? Oh, there we go. That's where I was. Okay, what do we know about Meghan's new Netflix show? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced that they're producing two nonfiction series with Netflix. The first of which will follow Markle as she cooks, gardens, and entertains. The series will be produced alongside Sony Pictures Television and the mastermind behind successful reality shows like Selena plus Chef and is that the D'Amelio show and Chef's Table. Marco and Chanel Pisnick will serve as the executive producers under Archwell Production, which was co-founded by guess who? Harry and Meghan. The second series will place the spotlight on Prince Harry. Besides his role as the British royal family, the Duke of Sussex is also known for his expert equestrian skills and love of polo. In fact, Harry recently competed in a charity polo match to raise money for his foundation, Centabale, which aims to provide comprehensive support for children and adults in South African countries. The series will primarily take place at the U.S. Open Polo Championship in Wellington, Florida, going behind the scenes to show what it takes to play this competitive sport? Nope, not yet. Okay, not yet. Mm-mm. Oh Lord, I done messed up. I done messed up. Okay, never mind though. We'll manage. Hi Vanessa Jones, thank you so much for being here. Novi D, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so anyway, that is that for the American Riviera Orchard. But the bottom line is Meghan is about to be everywhere. And well, you know how the Kensington Palace likes to try to answer. They try to have an answer, meaning that they try to push other people out there, other members of the royal family, especially those secret weapons that are so secret you don't even know who they are. They're so secret, they're not even the person that they try to say is the secret weapon. So, anyways, uh, mm-hmm, got it. Okay, moving on. Oh, well, I'll leave it right there. So let me see if I can grab this. Let me set it up for you. Okay, now we all know that because of the genocide, which is still happening in Gaza, not to be confused with the genocide that is happening in Congo. Um, well, anyway, there are a lot of people, and I would say, um, even myself, I have had my feelings about everything. Um, but then the election season really kicked into gear, right? And as we are in the election season, I have to put my game face on, meaning that I have to have a very measured and reasoned approach when it comes to voting. Now, in all likelihood, actually, it's a certainty. I'm going to vote for the Democrat. I always do. Um, the hangup is trying to get other people out to vote so that people don't become complacent, assuming that we have this in the bag. We do not. All right. So, Kamala, the Democrat candidate, um, for most of the time of the Biden Harris administration, she's avoided taking a lot of the hits, right? Um, I won't even speculate how that was possible, but I'm just going to say she has avoided taking the big hits. Mostly, the lightning rod has been Joe Biden. Um, and that's fine. I mean, after all, he is the president. The vice president is a constitutional position. And there is no rule that even says that the president has to allow the vice president into the White House. They run together on the same ticket, but they're not joined at the hip. So, for whatever reason, the vice president has avoided a lot of the heat. And at this point, I'm glad for that. So, inevitably, with Congo, well, not Congo so much as our involvement with Israel and with the um, Gaza genocide as it is, it's unavoidable that the candidates will have to, at some point, address it. And so, as I said, there are people that are caught up in their feelings right now, and those feelings are very valid. And what happened? They decided that they would try to shout down the vice president. the Democrat candidate for president. They were trying to shout her down. Now, people have driven for miles, right? And in some cases, people had to abandon their vehicles and walk like 2 miles to get to the venue, only for them to struggle to hear the vice president's voice. Well, that didn't go well. That did not go well. So, at a certain point, the vice president had had enough of it. And I do mean she had had her feel of it. And I can't say that I blame her. Um, I'm going to play something, and then you can tell me how you feel about it on the other side. Okay? Let me grab it, and then we can talk about it on the other side. Okay, why did I think that was going to work? Okay, let me try something else. Why did I think that was? Oh, okay, hopefully that works. What? Okay, it's working. It's working. Okay, here we go. We'll talk about it.
Intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking. Because we know what that would look like.
I'm going to show you where you've seen that look before. That look, that's the auntie look. That's the mama, the grandmama look. That's the we ain't going back look. We ain't going back. Anna Boyd, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being here. We ain't going back. Okay? We ain't going back. And that was a dose of reality. That was a dose of reality. It is a reality check. Like I said, I don't blame anybody for feeling the way they feel.
To end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Yeah, at that point, she had had enough of it. She had had enough of it. You could only do so much talking over people, even with the microphone. It's a struggle, it's distracting. Um, the reality is, and this is for our Sussex family that is not here in the United States, the reality is, it's always two candidates. That's just the way it is. There's always the two. And if there was some other way, then we would have done it already. But as things stand, there's only two. And some people refer to it as the lesser of two evils. Um, but we have a choice to make. As we have seen in Britain in the past 7 days, 6 days, we have seen the intentions of the right wing. We have seen the intentions of the MAGA people. We've seen the intentions of the Brexit people. There's too much black, brown, and Asian, and they mean to rid themselves of that. You know, kind of like they did back in World War II, or should I say, um, what the brown shirts, what the Nazis were trying to do. They were trying to rid themselves of a situation that they felt was out of hand. But we ain't going back. We are not going back. And some people intend to go backwards. But there's only two choices. Now, for what I'm to understand, um, Kamala is going to lay out a strategy for removing soldiers from civilian areas of Gaza, and she's working on a plan. Most importantly, a ceasefire, and she has actually listened to families of people from Gaza, the family of people from Gaza that have lost loved ones in this genocide. And she's even mentioned the loss of children, and that is something we cannot accept. We cannot get complacent. We cannot, I forgot the other word that she used, but she said we cannot be desensitized to it anymore, that we have to act. Now, almost assuredly, if Donald Trump somehow, God forbid, finds his way back there again, there will be no bargains. There will be no dealing. There will be no there will be no conversations. It's only going to go one direction. It's only going to go one direction. And there are some people who want to punish the Democrats. And there are some people, inevitably, that will want to punish the Republicans. In politics, nobody gets everything they want. That is not the nature of politics. Everybody has to bargain for what they want. That's why there's a two-party system, right? That's why there's two houses of legislation, not only here, but in a lot of countries. Our model for the upper and lower house, we got that from Britain. What was it, the House of Commons, the House of Lords? That's where we got it from. And it is what it is. So I encourage you, everyone who can vote, vote. Vote. Whatever you're feeling, you better vote. Because they've already shown us, we have the example of Britain. But the big difference is the people over here, they're not using bricks, okay? They're not using bricks. They're not throwing stones. They're not using flagpoles. You know what we do over here, right? It will not be pretty, okay? It would not be pretty. Yes, the Magna Carta, that precious document. Now, if I understand, the Magna Carta They which king was it that signed the Magna Carta? Wasn't it the boy king, the young king, the teenager? That was the first time that the rights of common folks was enshrined into the law. Is that right? I'm testing my memory. Um, that was the first time that every man and eventually women had rights under the law. Is that correct? So if there was no Magna Carta, there would not be a United States Constitution. Okay? Without the Magna Carta, there would be no Constitution. And as always, I like to test my memory. So let me see. Magna Carta. Magna Carta was issued in 1215. It was the first document to put into writing the principles that the king and his government was not above the law. It sought to prevent the king from exploiting his powers and place limits on royal authority by establishing law as a power itself. So there you go. 1215, the Magna Carta. So essentially, it was the first time that everyone was equal under the law, or so it was supposed to be, somewhat equal. Yes, it was King John. That's the one who signed it, King John. There you go. All right. As you wish, sir, as you wish. Okay, one more time.
Intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking. Because we know what that would look like.
Because we know what that would look like. There's so many ways to say the same thing. Don't you agree? There's so many ways to say it.
Hey, girl, sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
That's another way to say it. We ain't going back. Oh, wow. What a moment. What a moment. But yeah, I mean, we only have two choices. I already know what I'm going to do. And I would advise everyone who is in reach of my voice to do the same. Otherwise, there is a very vengeful, narcissistic maniac that is rubbing his tiny little hands together, just itching to get back to the White House. Yeah, I just saw a photo of the Orange Menace and the 2025 guy on a plane together. They were recently on a flight together. Okay. So I'm speaking. I think we're going to see more of that. I'm speaking. As a matter of fact, it reminded me um, that during the campaign before, um, everybody was like waiting for Senator Harris, and I guess it was Vice President Pence to have it their debate, right? We could not wait for them to have their debate. And let's see. There it is. This is the first time that I've actually can recall hearing the vice president say, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Mike Pence was absolutely rude. He was so rude. He kept interrupting her. He had plenty time to speak, but he was trying to, I guess, throw her off of her train of thought. And that didn't go well. It only made him look bad. Now, remember, it was during the global pandemic, so that's why they have those glass barriers up to avoid spreading germs or those Mike Pence cooties. The other thing that it was helpful is that the fly, remember the fly? Remember Mike Pence, who kind of looks like a corpse right there. Mike Pence, who looks like something that just sat up at the funeral parlor, uh, seemed to attract a fly that seemed determined to get as close to this mummified vice president as possible. I mean, he looks like the mummy. He looks frightening. He scares me. He really scares me. And of course, what was so funny was the next couple days there's 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 Kamala with her fly swatter, and of course there's Joe Biden with his fly swatter. And well, anyway, that was fun. Every time I see that, I start scratching my head. You know that, don't you? I literally start scratching my head. Ugh, that gives me the creeps. Right? Never argue with a former attorney general, lawyer, vice president. Absolutely. Now, Mike Pence has not had an easy time. I want you to take a look. Look at his body language. Look at his body language. This was that day that they had just had some kind of meeting in the office, the Oval Office. And instead of having a staff person go back, Donald Trump told Mike Pence to grab the folder off of the desk. And look at him. His eyes are cast down to the floor in shame. This was right after they got in there. His shoulders are all hunched forward. This is a broken man. This is a broken man. For 4 years, he was like a doormat, an absolute doormat. This is what happened when you sell your soul out. He sold his soul to be the vice president. It was embarrassing. I was so embarrassed for him. I have no words. I have no words, but I tell you, I am going to give him credit for doing the right thing instead of being bullied into interrupting or disrupting the certification of the election. Instead of him fleeing the United States Capitol, he stayed in place and fulfilled one of the few constitutional duties that he had as a vice president. So I'm going to give him credit for that. But otherwise, this man sold his soul to the devil for a chance to be the vice president. So low was his situation, he did not even attempt to run for office. That was his only chance. That's as close as he'll ever get. He will never, hear my voice when I say this, he will never be president of the United States. He can go back to doing his little radio show that he had in Indiana. What a loser. This is the Trump White House. This is the Trump White House. You see that? When he first went into office, even though the demographics at the time showed that the majority of the country, mostly white, followed by an ever growing Hispanic population, the Black population, and of course, there are a lot of people that are Hispanic that identify as white. Um, let's see, Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander, two or more, whatever. Anyway, and then of course, when it comes to Native Americans, because of the American genocide, a very small portion of the population claimed to be Native American, which is really sad. So that White House, look at that. One white woman and the rest white men looks nothing like America. And this is what people are willing to vote for. There are more than half of, well, less than half of the people in this country, probably about 38% of Americans who voted for him, which is still about the number that is willing to vote for him. About 38% of Americans could not fit in this photo because, well, you'd have to be white. You'd have to be white. That was the only way that you could work in the White House. Notice what's her name? Omarosa. She's nowhere around. She didn't even have a real job anyway. And where's the brain surgeon? He's nowhere around. He wasn't allowed in that photo. Shelly L says, "Hi, Baron. Hello, squatties. I've missed you, but watch all your replays." Oh, thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, again, Mike Pence, poor downtrodden. Look at Mike Pence. His soul. What's left of his soul? What's left of his dignity? And if you think Trump looks bad here, you should see what he looks like now. This was what, almost 8 years ago? That was almost 8 years ago. That was almost 8 years ago. Imagine how bad he looks now. Well, anyway, looking at Mike Pence, who does he remind you of? Who does Mike Pence remind you of? Anybody? Anybody? He reminds me of a royal princess who is going to spend the rest of her life, not 4 years, but the rest of her life walking behind someone that may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, someone who only by chance happened to get that position, right? Kind of reminds me of Donald Trump in that Donald Trump inherited money, in this case, the family business and the proximity to, some of the best schools is the reason why she happened to run into a future prince that nobody, well, a future king that nobody wanted to marry. And so there's Sophie with her eyes cast down, just like Mike Pence. Just like Mike Pence. She's got her eyes cast down to the floor in shame and embarrassment because, well, that's as good as it gets. That is as good as it gets. Even if Kitty never comes back to work again, she's still going to be in her shadow. She's always going to be in Kitty's shadow. Always. Just like right here, where we caught that glimpse of her. You see on the far left side, there's Kate talking to people, looking important. And there she is, lurking around. Nobody's bothering to talk to her because she's not important. She's just not that important. Oh, yeah, every so often they'll send her someplace, but they have to send a camera guy to go with them because, well, none of the media are interested in covering it. So, yeah, she's a duchess. She might as well have stayed a countess because, for all it's worth, nobody cares. Always in the shadow, always lurking around. Barely a duchess. Took over what? How many years? About 20, 23 years, 22 years, 23 years before she finally was conferred the title of Duchess. Oh, well. All of your best years, what there was of it, is behind you. Okay. That's all. Anyway, back to politics. Just a reminder, some of the things that we cherish in this country, you could thank the Democrats for it. You could see there Lyndon Baines Johnson, Barack Obama, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Bill Clinton. There, of course, is Jimmy Carter. Now, I don't really care for those other ones there, Woodrow Wilson and Old Hickory, Andrew Jackson. But there is John F. Kennedy. I wonder why they gave John F. Kennedy, he got a nice little rump, don't he? They gave him some back, didn't they? Whoever did this illustration. They decided to give him a little tushy back there, didn't they? A little padunk-dunk, a caboose. I just noticed that for the first time. Anyway, but there you go. There you go. Very cool painting. Oh, I think that's supposed to be a mirror back there. That's a mirror reflection. Oh, you know what I like about the mirror? In the mirror, they took Woodrow Wilson and Andrew Jackson out of it. You notice that? Andrew Jackson and Woodrow Wilson are not in that. Well, it can't be a mirror because the red tie is looking the same way. I don't know. I wonder who those are supposed to be back there. Oh, right. Anyway, that's enough of that. So if you like things, if you're depending on Social Security, Medicare, the Veterans Administration, if you have benefited from civil rights, the women's suffragette movement, or how about the Affordable Care Act, the Peace Corps, minimum wage, unemployment insurance, same-sex marriage, they don't have that one listed there. And if you could think of anything else that the Democrats are responsible for, go ahead and throw it in the chat. But that's what you got from the Democrats over the years. And that's why I vote Democrat. You know, the Republican Party, they used to be the party that most African Americans were in favor of. So if you're wondering, Oh, why do black people vote like a monolith? Why do they always vote Democrat? Um, do I need to spell it out for you any further? Civil rights? Do you know that what's his name? Um, not I just said his name too. Independence, Missouri. Um, isn't it strange? I just said his name. Truman. 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 Oh, thank you so much, Carla Johnson. Student loan forgiveness, child credit, uh, voting rights. Okay. Getting a good education. Thank you. Okay, the assault rifle ban. Uh, yeah, it has become a cult. It has become a cult, unfortunately. Um, oh, anyway, Truman was the one who desegregated the military. Do you guys remember we were looking at that video the other day? Well, at least I played the sound for the young woman who had been abused in the military. And of course, that type of hazing and abuse still happens here in the US, but um, big difference is the highest ranking member of the military is now a black man. The highest ranking civilian, aside from the president, is now a black man. And pretty soon, the highest ranking everything is going to be a black and Asian woman. Carla Johnson, thank you so much for the super sticker. Oh, yes, the Family Leave Act. FMLA, the Family Leave Act. Equal pay, thank you. Well, you guys are good. You all are very good. Thank you so much. And I've had to depend on the FMLA before and unemployment and other things. So thank you very much. Um, but yeah, so that is why most blacks, especially black women, if you're a Democrat, if you don't have the black woman's vote, you might as well hang it up. You don't have a snowball's chance in hell. You don't have a snowball's chance in hell. The most loyal group within the Democrat Party to vote is black women. Got to have the black women's vote. And next time Bernie Sanders run for president, he may want to try to court the black woman's vote instead of depending on college kids like he was, they had got him so pumped up he thought, oh, look at these crowds, look at these crowds. As a Democrat, you don't go nowhere without black women. So, Bombshell study charts America's diversity explosion of 3.2 million Hispanics since pandemic as white population tumbles. Well, one of the reasons why the white population is in a decline is because of substance abuse. White men in particular, they have been dropping like pences. They have been dropping like pences because of substance abuse. Um, but I want you to know where this came from. Bombshell, bombshell. You know that means Daily Mail. Whenever you see bombshell, that means Daily Mail, which is owned by the racially ambiguous Lord Rothermer, Lord Nappyhead, the Daily Fail. They love to say bombshell. That is to scare you. Supposed to scare you. Anyway, yes, the population, the non-white population is growing. The white population is on the decline. By the year 2050, those who identify as white will be less than half of the population of the country. And I'm convinced it's going to happen sooner than that. To be honest with you, it's going to happen sooner than that. And this is why there is so much nationalism. This is why the white supremacists are so volatile. This is why there were riots in the UK. This is why Marie Le Pen was almost elected. All over Europe, every day they say there's an invasion, there's an invasion. Maybe if people in Africa, South America, and other places, North America, had sounded that same alarm hundreds of years ago, you know what I'm saying? Maybe if they had sounded the alarm. Instead, most reached out in friendship, and what did they get? They lost their land and they got Bibles. They lost their land and they got Bibles. Now, there's a whole group of people willing to come to the UK and other parts of Europe to show them how to season their food. And in some cases, how to take a bath and use deodorant. No, I'm just kidding. But you get my point. You get my point. That's why this is happening. Now, I get why people are triggered by that. But there's also a decline in population in China. Can you believe that? China has a decline in population. Any country that becomes more affluent, wealthy, there's a decline in population. Korea, Japan, there is a decline in the population. And the United States, there is a decline in the population. Except the 3.2 million Hispanics that just crossed the border. But along with that, there's Asians and there's also people of African descent. It's not only Hispanic people crossing the border. There's all sorts of people waiting across the border. The thing is, and I'm not going to be a broken record about this, as much as they say they don't want people crossing the border, we have a severe labor shortage. And secretly, the Republicans want people to cross the border. Why do you think in the 11th hour, when they had a deal for stronger border control, Donald Trump wouldn't vote for it? He wants the border broken. He wants cheap labor. Okay? I'm not going to say anything else. I know I've been going on and on about this, but it's true. They want people. I welcome people. I'm not against immigration because pretty soon I'm going to be collecting Social Security and I need somebody to work so that my Social Security, I want my Social Security. I don't want them to raise the retirement age. You understand? And the only way to avoid that is to get some labor. We need it. So it is what it is. And I hate seeing people, and I've seen this here in the US, people getting irate. Oh, you're giving the resources. That's what the resources are for. That's what they're for. It's for people to use it. So come election day, vote for a candidate that are going to allocate more funds for more resources. Okay? I lost out on some resources years ago because of Katrina. Okay? I won't say what resources, but because of Katrina, what I was waiting for, I didn't get it because there was a national emergency and people from New Orleans were sent all over the country and some of them never went home. And so I was pushed down the waiting list. I am not angry. I was a little disappointed, but I didn't lose my house. I wasn't waist high in water. It is what it is. So that's all I'm going to say. I promise I'm done with that. They're here and they're not going anywhere. Now, take a look at this. Total gain and white pain, white pain, total gain and white gain, total gain and white loss, total loss and white loss, total loss and white gain. If you understand this, you're doing better than me. But this is a map that they came up with to drive those white supremacists and nationalists into a panic. They're doing the same thing over here. They are trying to stoke fear. They're trying to agitate people to target the migrants, the immigrants, asylum seekers. This is a country that is supposed to welcome everybody. And for a long time, that meant only white people. There was a rule. They only wanted white people. Brazil would be a black country right now, and I mean under black control. The majority of the people in Brazil do have African ancestry, even though they don't identify. But then they brought people over from Europe by the millions. Same with Argentina. They brought people by the millions because they didn't want the country to be too dark. So my point is, vote blue. Otherwise, we're going to have the same thing over here. And it's going to be much worse because, like I said, they're not going to be throwing bricks. They're not going to be throwing bricks. You know what they're going to be throwing? Vote blue. I'm speaking. Okay, now on to this. You guys, I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible. I'm going to try to be as respectful as possible. Mary Tillman lost her son. And that is horrible. That is horrible. If you've ever been anywhere near a parent that lost a child, it is one of the most gut-wrenching things. If you are a parent that lost a child, it's got to be absolutely devastating. So I feel for Mary Tillman. But I just found out that there are way more Mary Tillmans than I thought there were. Meet the other Mary Tillman. I think her name is Miller, something Miller. She lost her son and she's blaming Tim Walz for it. She's blaming Tim Walz the same way that they were using Mary Tillman, although she seemed to be glad to do it, to go after Prince Harry. Now they're using this Miss Miller to go after the vice president candidate. Looks very similar, don't it? The sad look. You can't hardly find her smiling anywhere. Same as Mary Tillman, Pat Tillman's mother. The press, especially the very conservative, the very right-wing press, they are using this woman to go after the vice presidential candidate. I know, here we go again. But it's true. Obviously, she's walking along the beach with her son's flag from his coffin. This is her son. Um, I forget his first name, but he died in Iraq. IED, improvised, what do you call it? Anyway, it was one of those improvised bombs on the side of the road. That's what killed him. He was riding in a transport, and well, it was devastating. And the thing is, after 24 years, oh, by the way, I did find a picture of her smiling. And I have to tell you this today, I finally found one photo of Mary Tillman with a smile on her face, just one. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I could only find one photo of Mary Tillman smiling. And same here. This is the only photo I can find of Miss Miller smiling. But otherwise, improvised incendiary device. Oh, okay, thank you. But yeah, they're using her. And as much as I hate to say it, she has made herself available to the right wing. And she is going to use this all the way until election day. I don't know if I can stand it. But all I can say is, here we go again. Here we go again. Another Pat Tillman, Mary Tillman, rather. Another Mary Tillman. I kid you not. She's probably going to do a commercial. Okay, I'm sorry. I was making myself comfortable here. They're probably going to have her do a commercial. Oh, I'll explain. Okay, so after 24 years in the National Guard, Tim Waltz decided it was time to retire. 24 years. In that 24 years, at any given time, he could have been called up to go overseas at any given time. So when he was ready to retire, he had to submit the paperwork months in advance. Months in advance. And the way that Miss Miller is saying it is that if he had gone, maybe he would have died and not her son. But they have been trying to say that he's a coward because he abandoned his group, his command or whatever, before they deployed. It wasn't like that. It was months that they knew that he was retiring. Months. 24 years he was in uniform. So they're trying to swift boat him, if you know what that means, a swift boat. That's the new swift boat tactic. Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for that yet. Joy Moore says, the only mother that touched my heart was her military son, made it all the way home. And oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you mean it got killed by a police officer? Excuse me. Exactly, Maurice Brown. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, Hello, Ivy here. Yeah, I thought it was explosive, improvised explosive device. I thought it was IED. Um, but either way, that's what happened. So again, I submit to you the new Mary Tillman. It's a real shame, but there must be something that they get out of this. And again, I feel bad saying it, but uh, it just frustrates me. That's all. It just frustrates me. So that's what this lady is going to be doing for the rest of her life. Again, she lost her child, and that is the most devastating thing. Children are not supposed to precede their parents, and I get that. But all I can say is, here we go again. Here we go again. Oh, you think that's it? Just the attention? I mean, it makes sense. It is the ultimate form of attention. As morbid as it is attention seeking. Yeah, they're trying to swift boat Tim Waltz. They're trying to swift boat him. And the thing is, you really have to push back. You cannot let them get away with it. You really have to push back. Now, there are some veterans. There are some veterans. I saw this one guy. Oh, I couldn't even play it for you because the language that he dropped more F bombs than you could imagine. But he called them out for it. He called them out for it. Weaponizing her tears. Weaponizing her tears. Exactly. I mean, it's a real shame, but you guys, Google Mary Tillman and tell me how many times do you see a photo of her with a smile on her face? That is very telling right there. I could not find but one photo where she broke character and smiled. Only one. Only one. So if you're doing it, just put the number in the chat. I'm just curious to see what your results are because I can only find one. I don't know how long I could, you know, I don't know how long I could maintain that. Either I have some joy in my life at some point or I'm just not alive anymore. I don't know how I could maintain that. But some people do. Even if it's attention seeking, some people do. It's almost surreal. It's almost like it's the same person. If I would have told you that this was Mary Tillman, you probably wouldn't have known the difference. You probably wouldn't have known the difference. And this one right here. This is like the most exploitation that they yeah, this is the most exploitive image of her that they'll probably have for a long time. I'm sure it's a video. This looks like a news magazine, television news magazine segment like 60 Minutes, where they end it with somebody walking along the shore. That's what that looks like. Okay, so let's go on. Williams' project to end homelessness has offered 0.01% of the money uh, of the money needed to end homelessness in Britain. Completely insincere. The new art exhibit has opened at is it Saatchi Gallery? Saatchi Gallery. Uh, yeah, in partnership with the Prince of Wales Project to End Homelessness. Now, let me show you this. Let me show you this. Oh, wait. A new art exhibit has opened at the Saatchi Gallery in partnership with the Prince of Wales Project to End Homelessness. Installation, structure, and paintings will be displayed at the London Gallery, excuse me, my voice, on Chelsea King Road for the next 6 weeks. The exhibition, Homelessness Reframed, has been curated and as a collaboration between the Prince's Homewards program, the gallery, and the 1111 Foundation, which uses art as therapy. A spokesman for Kensington Palace said that the prince wanted to project new imagery around the topic of homelessness. I repeat, he wanted to project new imagery around the topic of homelessness. You mean like when he was selling those magazines out there with that guy and he was wearing a Rolex watch? That was an image. I remember that one. He added that the exhibition was the first of a number of major activations, which were designed to help change the narrative and challenge narrative perception. I'm sorry, negative perceptions and stereotypes around homelessness. That's one of the art installations. That's one right there. Somehow that is supposed to help. I repeat, that is supposed to help. How? I don't know. You have a home in Scotland. You have a palatial apartment at Kensington Palace. You have an apartment at Windsor Castle. You have Admiral Hall. You have Adelaide Cottage. And in addition to that, Adelaide Cottage has a second building behind it, which is where the servants stay. Admiral Hall has a servants' wing. They don't even have to be in the main house. If you really want to do something, even if it's just one person at a time, do that. But this idea that art is supposed to do, I mean, this is not even to raise money for the homeless. This is a way to help. I'm not sure what it's supposed to help. The idea to shine a light not only on rough sleeping, but cases of hidden homelessness around the country. It features an installation called Home by David Tovey. Tovey. It shows a large red house constructed out of car parts from a Peugeot 206, representing a time when the artist was homeless and living in his car. Elsewhere, cardboard signs held up by homeless people to ask for help or money are framed are framed on the wall. One reads, "Have 6-year-old son, rent and bills. Will work if offered. Any job, any help needed and appreciated. Thank you." Another says, "This is awkward for me too." You're welcome, Mary H. So, anyway, I'm not sure how this is supposed to help. Now, I did have a picture of the cardboard sign. Let me see if I could leap ahead and find that one. What did I do with the cardboard sign? I don't know. I don't see it now. Oh, well. Okay. It must be out of place somewhere. Is that it? Oh, yeah. Here it is. Here it is. Educated, unemployed, 12 months homeless, 8 months need work. Thank you for any help sleeping outside, trying to save for a room. Anything helps. Thank you. God bless you. Why? How? What is a cardboard? Anyway, Not My King says, what would you write on a piece of cardboard that might highlight the work of Billy the Builder? At the Homewords UK exhibition at Saatchi Gallery, entry is free and they would welcome the publicity. Workshy Willie, Billy Idol, ooh, I like that one, Prince William, Royal Family, Royal Charity. What about Workshy Will? Forgot about Workshy Will and WikiLeaks, Willie Leaks. Oh my God. You know, you could not make up something like this because nobody would believe you. Nobody would believe anyone um, that claimed that they can help in homelessness by shedding light on the homeless problem or homeless what do you call it epidemic better than framing a cardboard or building something out of Peugeot parts. I'm surprised I didn't think of it myself, actually. I'm surprised I didn't think of it myself. The next time I see somebody homeless, I'm going to say, hang on there. Let me see if I can find an old Peugeot 203 so I can build something out of it. let me see if I can find Let me see if I can find an old Peugeot. That'll help. And by the way, let me have that cardboard sign so I can frame it. I'll frame it and put it in the art gallery. And just to make sure that you will never get off the street, I'm not even going to charge people to get into the gallery. There'll be no charge to get into the gallery. We're not raising funds, we're highlighting a problem, which, if you ask me, is the problem. Oh my goodness. Nicole Hanfu, thank you so much for becoming a new member of Royal Sussex. Thank you very much. I am going to build a I'm going to build uh Carla Johnson, did I say thank you for the super sticker? Let me do it again just in case I missed it. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I think I did, but just to make sure. Yeah, he don't have anybody to think for him. The thing is, the people that's under him now, you know what I'm saying? All of the courtiers and stuff, all they're there to do is stroke his ego. They're not really there to help. They just need their proximity. Bonjour to you too. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks for all of the very, very helpful postings that you have contributed to Royal Sussex. Okay. Now, this poster, well, actually, this came from a magazine article, but it was an article about Charles III. Now, there was a movie called Charles III, and it was about King Charles. Um, yeah, it was about King Charles, but not the King Charles, a King Charles. King Charles, who refused to sign a law that was placed in the red box, a law that the prime minister expected him to sign. You know, even though there is royal consent or royal decree consent, you're going to sign it. There's no such thing as I'm not going to sign it. And he decided not to sign it. And it was like, how do I put it? It could have been the end of the monarchy. I forgot how the movie ended. I'm not going to tell you anyway. But it could have been the end of the monarchy. Could have been. And ironically, in the movie, which I actually had to rent it, ironically, um, Prince Harry was dating a black girl. And the other thing about the movie is that um, Kate was smart and clever. Now, you know that was a fictional thing, right? Kate was smart and clever. Willie was dumb, so that was consistent. But Kate was the brains behind the operation. You know how those Royal Rhoda, how they always write articles saying Kate is the glue, Kate is holding the family together. Well, in that situation, Kate was conspiring to get William on the throne instead of Charles, or actually to get Charles off of the throne. They were trying to get him to abdicate. Um, Really good movie. Really good movie. And I didn't tell you anything that wasn't in the preview. But yeah, it was about a King Charles that refused to sign a law. And very interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's where that image comes from. Right? And you know what? You know what? Because of all of the attention that came from the movie, um, somebody reached out to Kensington Palace for comment. And anyway, you know what happened.
Well, obviously, it'd be. I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to. Obviously, to this day, and going forward and things. It is. It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So, yeah, I do.
You certainly do. You certainly do. So anyway, the whole point of that image was because Charles has been silent. Charles has been silent. King Charles has asked for daily updates on protests. And that's it. He's asking for updates, but still there's no statement. There has been no statement. Oh, see, that's out of place. And don't think that that has gone unnoticed, because it has not. It certainly has not. People have noticed that there has been no statement from the sovereign, the man who is supposed to unify his people. Have not done it yet. He hasn't said anything. When the going got tough, Charles went to Balmoral. I repeat, when the going got tough, Charles went to Balmoral. Not exactly a profile in courage, is it? Okay, I'm just scanning through, checking to see if there's any official statement. And so far, I don't see one. I don't think there is a statement. None. Olive Perry, thank you so much for being here. There is no statement. So right here, Michael E. says, the king is instrumental in, the king is instrumental in hounding the first Black member of the royal family out of the country. He's a racist like 99% of the royals and aristocracy. Now that's his words, not mine. He said what he said. Well, I wasn't there. I'll just say I wasn't there. How's that? I wasn't there. I'll leave it at that. Republic. It's ordinary people stepping in to clean up the mess left by the right-wing thugs. The royals won't be lifting a finger to help. Republic CEO Graham Smith on the failure of the monarchy during the far-right riots. Peter Hunt says, we have a silent head of state. The palace span talks of bridge building in private. Charles is meant to be a unifying figure who champions religious tolerance and mutual respect. Yet he's said nothing about racism and rioting. It is untenable position. It's an untenable position. Untenable. It's not now. If not now, when? If not now, when? Like I said, no statement yet. After all of that, nothing. Like mother, like son. Like mother, like son. Now, I am going to play this one for you. Let me see here. Give me just a second. I'm speaking. Oh, Lord, what did I do with it? Oh, there she is.
Political. They are supposed to provide comfort to people, reassurance.
Okay, let's do that again.
Supposed to provide comfort to people, reassurance, stability. If you cannot condemn a racially motivated riot, maybe it's because you're not ready to have that conversation in your own house. I mean, it's telling that from the Royal Rota, this was the most positive thing that they could do to show diversity of their servants. And obviously the concern around race after Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview. This is not there were people on both sides. This is one side that created a boogeyman that they have seen over and over and over again on TV. They've heard it through politicians, through the news media. How does silence do anything but embolden those people? Speaking of that, a friend of mine made a very good point. People can't have it both ways. You can't want a strong Commonwealth and also want to decide who gets to be considered British. Do I think that we are going to hear from Prince William, the modern king that the papers have been promising us? Highly doubt it. He won't even reveal how much income tax he voluntarily paid. That's because the British royal family gets to play let's make a deal when it comes to paying tax. But his father, the king, did. He published a full cost breakdown. Just like Buckingham Palace, comms is trying to pivot away from the riots to other work that the royals are doing so that people forget this. To dig any deeper, to maybe look at ways that William is actually showing less transparency. Well, that doesn't work with the modern king narrative that you have scripted for his character. Royal reporting is more like a soap opera in many cases than actual journalism. It'll be interesting to see if the British media covers this at all. If they cover the fact that Charles has not spoken up and said anything, if they push back, if they ask more questions. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, but I would love to be shocked. The role of the British monarchy is to bring stability, reassurance, comfort to its people. How comforting and reassuring is their silence to people of color? Or are we pandering to a certain kind of British person of which their silence is very reassuring, maybe even celebrated?
Okay. She said what she said. Lex says Meghan famously spoke on the Black Lives Matter protests. Let me see. British royal family, crickets. Yeah, the only thing we got from the royal family is when that guy that reminds me of Uncle Ben's Uncle Ben from the Rice, he said that the Queen asked about the Black Lives Matter. Asking about a topic and speaking or learning, all he said was she can't be racist because she asked about the Black Lives Matter. That was it. The Queen could not be racist because she asked about the Black Lives Matter. And who did she ask? The only Black person that was close to her at the time. And that's that Ken, whatever his name, DeLisi. What is his name? The guy that's always there to greet the royals whenever they have business in London. That's who she asked. Other than that, we don't know what the Queen's opinion is about anything. She didn't make a statement about it. That wasn't a statement. They wanted to have something on the record, and that was the best they could come up with. Remember, they are very much not a racist family. Thank you very much, Legs. They are very much not a racist family. And Charlene Bates, thank you so much for the super sticker. And let's see right here. Jasmine was it Dodiwala? Dodiwala? She says the royal family is very quiet. I'm sure the Queen would have said something by now. I don't know. I don't know. The Queen was also slow to warm, so I would not wager that the Queen would have said anything. One would only hope that if under similar circumstances that somebody would have said something, but I would say given the history, probably not. Probably not. Because that's all that she had to say about the Black Lives Matter was nothing. We were only told that she asked the question, what is all of this Black Lives Matter business? So I'm going to just go out on a limb and say, And then right here, Britain's shame seen from around the world. By the way, I was listening to Anne earlier today. And whilst listening to Anne, guess what? My name came up. Someone said, Anne, please explain to Barron that there are plenty of middle income and wealthy people like this. Yesterday, he was basically making fun of stereotyping people for being poor. I repeat, yesterday he was basically making fun of stereotyping people for being poor. Uh, so this person asked Duchess of Success to explain to me that there are plenty of middle income and wealthy people like this. And like this, meaning, I guess, Tommy Robinson. Yeah, Tommy Robinson. I'm not sure I get it. And seeing that the United Kingdom is one of the richest countries in the world, how would it even be possible that they don't have middle income and wealthy people? Or was it about middle income and wealthy people being racist? Did she assume that I thought only rich and poor people live in the UK? That there is no middle income or wealthy people? I don't know. I don't get that. I thought it was a bit strange, but that's what this person had to say. As a matter of fact, I'll do this. I'm going to copy the text and I'm going to put it right here and let you look it over. I know she said that there were a lot of disenfranchised people that have been egged on by the power elites, in so many words. So I thought it strange, but that person is entitled to their opinion. But nobody is entitled to the truth. The truth is something else. The truth is the truth, and nobody owns the truth. So, weird, wasn't it? Weird. Um, Racism was used to justify the transatlantic slave trade. It was used to justify the wholesale slaughter and genocide committed in foreign lands. Racism was used as a way to uplift the poor of one country so that they would act aggressively toward other populations, other people, other races, rich or poor, right? So, yeah, very strange though. What I think is that sometimes people read the title and they think they get it, or they fall into the middle of one of my rants and they think they get it. Or, and this is very important, it is uncomfortable for anybody to criticize our homes, whether our home is the county, the city, the state, the nation, whatever you want to call it. It is very uncomfortable to hear that. However, there's a reason why I take a DNA test and I find that 79% of my DNA comes from Africa and the rest is other. How did that happen? I'm going to say it was probably because of Britain, not Spain, not Portugal, Britain. So, as someone who is part British, I have a right to criticize the motherland, do I not? As someone whose ancestors were, I won't even say all the words, but as someone whose ancestors have been abused by a system designed to break and enslave people, I think I have a right to criticize. The biggest export that can be found anywhere in the world is the hostility against African people because of the slave trade. That is the biggest export that ever come out of Britain is racism. And this past week, we got a glimpse of the monster that is racism. We've seen it. It wasn't subversive. It was quite overt. It was in your face. So, what part did I get wrong? Baby Sis Doll says a class society needs racism to survive. Hello. Hello. You know, when the Western powers went to what is present day Iraq, what was it, the Sunnis and the Shiites, the minority group was better educated and allowed to keep power. Am I correct about that? When the Western powers went into Rwanda, the Hutus and what was the other one? The Tutsis, they allowed the minority group to be in power. They financed them, gave them weapons, gave them everything they needed so that they could subjugate the majority of the people. Am I right about that? Isn't that the common formula that they use when they're greatly outnumbered and they go to another land? They'll take one tribe and pit them against the other. Isn't that what they did in India? They just tapped into the caste system, something that they understood very well in India. And while they were upholding and reinforcing the caste system in India, nobody noticed that they were taking all the wealth out of India. The railroads in India were designed to extract wealth. It wasn't for moving people, it was for moving wealth out of India and taking it back to England. And so the people that were in the street trying to, well, I'll just say destroy. I don't want to use any harsher language, but they were trying to destroy people of color, anybody they thought was an immigrant or a migrant or asylum seeker. They were attacking them. But the reason why Britain is wealthy today is because of the ancestors of the people that they're trying to destroy. Or more recently, the Windrush people. Come and help rebuild the motherland, why don't you? They brought people from India, Bangladesh, all over the place to rebuild the motherland. And to thank them for it, they turned the poorer population, the lower class people, against other working class people. It's embarrassing, and I'm sorry that it happened, and I'm sorry that that's disturbing to some people. But I think maybe that's what it is maybe they're just embarrassed by that. It's an uncomfortable subject. Thank you, Mary H. Scapegoating. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's an uncomfortable subject, and I can understand why someone would be bothered hearing it, but it just happens to be true. So, Omid Scobie says, Britain's shame seen from around the world. And it is Britain's shame. It is Britain's shame. It is shameful. But they reinforce this behavior by allowing the Tories, the right wingers, allowing them to, um, you know, do what they do, allowing this press, allowing the press to, I guess, brainwash, gaslight. Either you're going to take control of it or you're going to just let the problem fester. But it's been out of hand for a long time. Every day, the Daily Mail refers to the President of the United States as bumbling Joe Biden, mumbling Joe Biden. As an American, I'm offended by it. As a voter who voted for Biden, I'm offended by it. But what can I do? What can I do? Every day, the Daily Mail assaults the United States people. Rupert Murdoch assaults the American people. It's an assault. Misinformation, propaganda. They use the rights of a free press against us, the same way they use the rights of a free press against the British people, to indoctrinate, to mislead, and to create hostility. And there's nothing I can do about it as an individual. I just have to suffer whatever consequences come from it. Just like these people in the UK has had to suffer because of years and years and years of blatant racism, white nationalism. A lot of people have suffered. It's dying down, but who knows when it'll come up again. And did you guys hear them chanting, "Save our king, save our king, save our king"? Did you hear that? There were some guys that were chanting, "Save our king." Well, there was a guy. Oh my God, I don't think I made a slide for that one. But I could still play it for you. Let me do this really fast. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. This guy, oh, I cannot believe I didn't make a slide for that. I'll do this really fast. But this guy said what needed to be said. Oh, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Okay, I got this. Give me just a second, you guys. Okay, I just want to get a little snapshot of him, right? So that I can show you who's talking like I did last time. I want to show you who's doing the talking. Okay. So sorry I neglected to do this. But you got to hear it. It is brilliant. Unfortunately, they dubbed out all of the curse words. I'm going to take that away. And I am going to put this up. So this is the guy right here. Right? He's on TikTok. Oh boy, he was good.
political state of the country is just beyond.
Oh, Lord.
I just seen a black guy being jumped by 25 white guys, white British men. They end this with the police rightly intervening because like 25 on 1 is embarrassing. And they're chanting, "Save our king." Mate, save our king. Like how? I'm reading a book written in the 1940s called The Mass Psychology of Fascism. I've been reading it for a long time. It's hard to read. But the main point is nothing has changed. You guys, the whole issue is rich and poor. That's it. Save our king is painfully ironic as the chant "use lot choose" to make in the wake of what? Of jumping on another person struggling. The king's fine. He's in a palace. I think he's a bit ill. He's fine. And he doesn't care about you. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I'm still having to tell you this now. They're in a palace. They take all your money. Yeah? The royal family. They take all your cash and they just walk around waving at people. The king doesn't need saving. You need saving. Rich people are all living phenomenal existences. The Tories, for the last decade at least, have just been handing money out to the super rich, taking on donors, reinvesting that back into their capital. How do you not know how this works? I just can't. What is the logical barrier that has to be in place for you to think that an immigrant who's come into the country and sometimes work for less money, right? Let's £6-7 an hour, whatever it is. They're the problem. They're the reason why you're poor. Is a person who's run away from something to work harder for less money. And who's paying them? It's rich British people. Why are you having to go at the immigrant? In this instance, there's been an incident where somebody who's clearly mentally unwell, a 17-year-old, that's one of the most heinous crimes anybody could ever commit, murdering children, little girls. I promise you, if that had been a white boy, right, white man, we'd be focusing on the mentally deranged aspect of this crime. How do you create a person like that? You just got to just jump into the next thing. You're saying it's Islam. Or like you're saying it's because we have weak borders. We don't even take in the most immigrants in Europe, so now what? I just can't. The reality is this. You're poor and you're angry, and it's not because of immigrants. That's it. You're unhealthy. You're not sleeping. You're drinking too much beer. Sort your life out and shut the up. It's that simple, bro. I'm being dead serious. Racism was invented for you guys to be distracted from who's really taking your shit. Yeah, you're better than them. Save our king, Britain. What is Britain? You guys are so obsessed with these values. It's just an idea. Do you know what's real? Your lack of income. And do you know whose fault that is? The House of Not So Commons, bro. The political state of the country is just beyond. Listen, I just seen a black guy being jumped by 25 white.
Okay, so it was repeating, but that's what this young man had to say. Let me see. What is his name? His name is Jordan Stevens. Jordan Stevens. He's on TikTok. I believe it's Jordan F. Stevens. And he's on TikTok. But I think he nailed it.
My mind is blown right now.
I think he nailed it. Uh-oh. Okay. I think he nailed it. It is about rich and poor. It is about the people at the top pitting one side against the other. That's what it's about. It's about your lack of income. I believe it was it Rockefeller? One of those wealthy American industrialists said, I don't want an educated society. I need workers. I need workers. That's it. And whatever happens, the very wealthy will never see the worst of it. And this is why Trump doesn't care. Trump does not see these people as his equal. He sees the MAGA people as tools. He sees them as a means to get the things that he wants out of life, to build himself up. He does not care about those people. And year after year, the Republicans, the very poor Republicans, they vote against their own interests. They did not want the Affordable Care Act but that is the only thing that's keeping a lot of them alive. And they won't give that black man any credit for it. They won't give Obama any credit for it. The reason why Hillary Clinton was so vilified, it started a long time ago because of universal health care. That was part of the agreement the Clintons had with one another. I help you become president, and you put me in charge of the universal health care. That was all Hillary Clinton wanted. She wasn't trying to be president back then. She wanted to ensure that everyone had health care. That's the legacy that she wanted. And a lot of people forget that. But that's when the vilification of Hillary Clinton started. It was over health care. Anyway, very smart young man. Let me see. Travel alert. Australians should leave Lebanon immediately. See the travel advice. Exercise a high degree of caution in the United Kingdom. Okay. And then over here, Australians should leave Lebanon immediately. Colombia, exercise a high degree of caution. They are putting the same level of caution on the United Kingdom as they would use in Colombia. They are using the same level of caution. Yeah, yeah. And even after the Bill Clinton chickened out and didn't want to go forward with the universal health care so he can get reelected, Hillary Clinton had to wear pink and put that headband in her hair and wear those little Debbie snack cake slippers. She had to turn into June Cleaver so that Bill Clinton could be reelected. Um, but the one thing that they did was they made sure that every child in America had full health coverage. Every child in America had full health coverage. That was the only thing that they could do at that point. There was no way that the Republicans could say no to that. But I remember they were saying, oh, you're going to let the Clintons take control of 1/4 of the economy? They said that the healthcare was like 1/4 of the economy, something like that. It was a pathetic argument that the wealthiest nation in the history of the world cannot insure each and every citizen. Okay. Oh, here's another travel alert. This one is from the United States State Department. This one is from the United States State Department. Level 2 exercise increased caution. They're saying that we should increase our caution when we go to the UK. All right. And right there, isn't it amazing what a difference a day makes? They have gone from these huge agitators, now they're ready to sing Kumbaya. The Daily Mail, night anti-hate marches face down the thugs. Daily Express, United Britain stands firm against thugs. Ain't that something? These papers are the main perpetrators. Now they acting like a real newspaper. Only on the cover. Only on the cover. And I think this is the last slide that I have, is it? Yes, we're going to leave it right here. Bristol welcomes refugees. Okay? Bristol welcomes refugees. And that sign speaks for a lot of people in Britain, rich or and poor. They're speaking for a lot of people. This is what we should all take from it. Not the worst of what people had, but the best of people. It's not going to return the property. It's not going to heal the injuries. It's not going to bring those three little girls back. And God forbid, I hadn't heard of anyone losing their life, but I know there were a lot of people injured. And there were a lot of people that's probably going to be suffering from PTSD because people were out in the street chanting their names and burning their businesses. But whatever it is, this is hopefully the end of it, and that things will die down and there will be some semblance of normalcy. But the government got to do something about those papers. The Murdochs and the Baltimore's, or not Baltimore, Ruthermere, those kind of people, they have to be dealt with. They got to do something. They have to reform the media. They have to reform the media. Murdoch had to pay out $787 million. The lawsuit was for billions. So they settled for almost $1 billion. If they were able to do stuff like that in Britain, these newspapers wouldn't be so powerful. But they make it almost impossible to sue. Because of tourism, yeah, that's what they tell us. That's what they tell us. Okay, you guys, so much for an hour. I didn't mean to go on so long, but it has been a very tough time with all of these things, but we'll get through it. We will get through it. And so, with that, I'm going to bid you all a good night. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for supporting this channel. Thank you for trusting me to do this work. Trusting me to do this work. And believe me, I get just as much or probably more out of having a platform like this than you could have ever imagined. Yeah, I do. I get a lot out of it. And I hope that it is helpful to you too. And I hope that this that it's not a place of negativity. I don't ever want to leave people feeling worse than when they came into the space. If anything, I'd rather you feel better, not worse. Yasmin Page, that is a good question. 24 years is a long time for people to be on a job, let alone in the military. 24 years in the military. At any given time, he could have been called upon, but he wasn't. He trained people. He did misspoke about carrying a weapon in war. You'd have to hear it in the context to understand how he said that, but he misspoke. And of course, they're going to use that against him as best they can. But he's a good guy. He's a family man. He's he's cherished by the people in his community. He's a school teacher. You know, he's a great guy. Speaking of school teachers, I figured out. As a matter of fact, I stayed up last night watching that state representative from Texas. I stayed up late last night watching him. God, is he good? I'm hoping he does the keynote address. I put a link to his YouTube channel on the community tab. Oh my God, he was so good. I like him. He graduated from Harvard with a arts and science degree. He has a master's in arts and science. And by 2025, he will have his theological degree, which he's working on right now. Very smart guy. What is his name? Is it? Oh Lord, I forgot his name. But he's Italian. In case you're wondering, he's Italian. Hmm. There we go. It's James Tallarico. James Tallarico. Yeah, I like him. And I hope he delivers the keynote address at the at the Democratic National Convention. I think he would be perfect. And he is married, and he's 35 years old. He looks so young, but he's 35 years old. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some very powerful speakers. We are going to have some very powerful speakers at that convention. I almost feel sorry for Vice President Harris because she's going to be preceded by some very big people. Um, yeah, but it's going to be great. It is going to be great. Oh, yeah. Bill Clinton, the explainer in chief, always good at explaining things. Really? Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him a lot in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing him a lot in the future. That kid is very bright, and he articulates things in a way that is so clear and concise, and you just there's no ambiguities. You know what he's talking about, and he's got a sense of humor. Okay, love you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll get on much earlier tomorrow. I'm going to try. Promise, I'm going to try. Okay, good night.